Tsua, 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 tsua.
Ay ayo, kere tsua, tsua, tsua.
Orobalete, tsua, tsua, orobalete,
Tsua, tsua, tsua.
orobalete,
Tsua, tsua,
orobalete,
tsua, tsua.
orobalete, tsua, tsua, orobalete,
Kere tsua, tsua, tsua.
orobalete, tsua, tsua,
Kere gaisi
Bakama Raisa.
Orobalete, tsua, tsua,
Mzansi ubatama Raisa.
Orobalete, tsua, tsua,
Kere tsua, tsua, tsua.
Orobalete, tsua, tsua.
Kere gaisi ya kama sole.
Orobalete,
Tsua, tsua,
Orobalete,
Tsua, tsua, tsua.
Orobalete, tsua, tsua,
Awe
Orobalete.
songezo.
Oze hamba boze, hamba boze.
Awe songezo.
Hawa boze, hawa boze, hawa boze.
Kwa masipala kade khashwa kanjani?
Hawa boze,
Hawa boze.
hawa boze.
Eparlamente kanti ngena kanjani?
Hawa boze, hawa boze, hawa boze.
Awe songezo.
Hawa boze, hawa boze, hawa boze.
Awe songezo.
Hawa boze, hawa boze, hawa boze.
Kwa masipala kanti ngena kanjani?
Hawa boze, hawa boze, hawa boze.
Awe songezo.
Hawa boze, hawa boze, hawa boze.
Amandla. 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 Viva Rise Mzansi, viva. Viva Rise Mzansi, viva.
Viva!
Cela siqaleni phansi simamele inkokheli yethu. Thank you risers.
Asenalo valo, asenalo valo, asenalo valo, ayente sienza. Asenalo valo, asenalo valo, asenalo valo, ayente sienza. Asinalo valo, asinalo valo, asinalo valo, ay.
Rise Mzansi, rise! Rise Mzansi, rise! Rise Mzansi, rise! I rise! I rise! We rise! We rise! Rise Mzansi, rise! Rise Mzansi, rise! Rise Mzansi, rise! I rise! I rise! We rise! We rise! Together! Amandla! Amandla! Thank you. Molweni. Sanbonani, Abshin, Dumela, Tobela, Goeiemiddag. Thank you. Today is a good day. It's a good day to be South African. Today is a big day. It's a historical day for South Africa. We are gathered here today because our country is in serious trouble. It is in crisis. Although many people believe politics is a game of promises, smokes, and mirrors, to us here in this room, this is no game. This is a life and death situation that we are in. There is one choice in this election. One question. Are we going to let the ANC continue ruining our lives and the future of our children? Well, we are here today because the answer is a big no. We love our families and communities too much to gamble with their lives by letting thieves stay in power. This is not the future we voted for in 1994. And therefore, it is time to once again move away from an abusive system and leaders who really, really hate us. We have said that 2024 is our 1994. 1994 was supposed to be about freedom and justice. But none of those things have been fully delivered. There is no freedom and no justice when there is so much inequality in our society. 1994 was supposed to end racism. But today, we have more victims of systemic racism than we did in 1994. Because our so-called leaders are unable to think outside the colonial toolbox. 1994 was supposed to be about healing the wounds of our past. But today, we sit with fresh wounds and scars caused by those who claim to be our liberators. Poverty is a violation of people's rights. Hunger is violent. Neglect is violent. Violent crime is traumatizing. 1994 was a crossroads in South Africa's history. We are at another crossroads now. If we do not change course, we will become another failed African state whose citizens are poor, even though our country has natural resources and natural wealth. Unemployment is higher now than it was 20 years ago. Violent crime is worse now than it was 20 years ago. Corruption is not just worse, it is the very reason our so-called leaders are even in politics today. They even kill one another for the chance to steal from us and destroy our lives. Many South Africans do not trust the police anymore. We do not trust government officials. Too many people in our society tolerate and defend corrupt people. Some even follow politicians, corrupt politicians, when for the 1 millionth time they lie and say they will put an end to corruption, even though they are on trial for corruption. We are a violent society. We are no longer shocked by violence and murder. We just shake our heads and move on. And most of this violence is caused by us, men. We are violent to each other. We are violent to women and children. So all of us have to look at ourselves, look at the politicians, look at political parties, and we do our bit. As a people, we have become used to the unacceptable. When the lights go off at night, we keep talking and laughing as if nothing has happened. When power goes off for 4 hours instead of 6 hours per day, we celebrate and say the government has done well. In the city of Johannesburg, we have become used to homeless South Africans directing traffic during load shedding. We are being conditioned to watch and do nothing while our country gets destroyed in front of our eyes. And we must not let that happen. Many of you know I come from the Eastern Cape, from the former Transkei. There is a road there, the R61. Between Mthatha and Ngobo, they've been trying to repair that road since 2007. Since 2007, they are still not finished. Those are not people who can change our lives. The premier of my province, Oscar Mabuyane, is from Ngobo. He drives on that same road every time. If he cannot fix a road in his own backyard, he definitely will not care about the people of Mkanduli, where I come from. So let me ask again, are we going to let the ANC destroy our lives and the future of our children? And the answer is no. There is enough evidence that if we do nothing, there will be no future and no country left to save. In the words of Hank Stewart, it is our time, it is our turn. If we do nothing, it will be our fault. South Africa will not go to the dogs, not while we are still breathing. We will not surrender to Amasela. Imigodoi. Rise Mzansi has a bold vision to build a new society, a society that is founded on the values of freedom, equality, justice, solidarity, and integrity. Together, we will build a South Africa that is safe, prosperous, equal, and united, where everyone can live a happy and dignified life in one generation, that is 20 to 25 years. A child born today, by the time they start working, South Africa needs to be a different place, and all of us here in this room and outside are going to make sure that it happens. And that journey begins today. A happy and dignified life is not too much to ask for. People are not asking to be rich. They're asking for dignity. Just dignity, respect. So changing South Africa needs that we change how we think. This People's Manifesto, this one, is the bold shift our country needs. In here are the daily experiences and voices of the South African people. This is about what South Africans know is wrong and how we must fix it. We promise no miracles. Instead, we make clear that reversing this disaster is going to be very, very hard. South Africa needs new leaders with vision and purpose and a strong sense of patriotism. These people don't love our country. You don't steal from the people if you love the country, if you love the people. So this is the main reason this People's Manifesto begins with the question of leadership, good government, and how we can implement the will of the people with sensible policies and laws. We will not only send capable, ethical people to parliament, but we will make cabinet smaller with ministries that work together and have the best qualified people to do the work of the South African people. This country cannot continue to be destroyed by cadre deployment, which we will end on day one. No new government can succeed if the corrupt cadres who are there to look after their friends and their friends in business and their families are still in office. We need to get them out. We have said the people must govern. The people must govern. Democracy is a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. It is not a government of the cadres, by the cadres, for the cadres. And so we propose a package of political reforms that will fix parliament because it is broken. We will fix the government, we will fix municipalities and the state-owned companies from which they steal every single day. It is not possible to change people's lives if the leaders are bad and unaccountable. While political and economic institutions are corrupted by people who do not know what they are doing except to steal from us. This is why we propose placing all collapsing, corrupt municipalities under national government administration within the first 100 days of a new government. That is necessary because municipalities are at the forefront of providing basic services to the people. An inability to deliver basic services is a violation of human rights. This ANC government borrows irresponsibly, spends recklessly, and steals whatever the comrades can lay their hands on. Our government's bank account is close to empty while our so-called leaders are living large. So this is why we are committed to fixing government finances, prosecuting corruption, and spending responsibly to protect the social wage. You know, last week President Ramaphosa said, and he hides most of the time, by the way, he disappears for weeks and then he pops up to say something unbelievable. He was telling people that only the ANC can keep giving social grants. Other political parties will take it. He's lying. My friends, I want to tell you, there will soon be no money for social grants if the thieves are in charge of the national bank account. That's what we need to go out and tell people. They have stolen hundreds of billions of rands. But we know what is important to South Africans because for the past year we've been talking to all of you in small conversations, in many small conversations with 5, 10, 15, 100 people because we wanted everybody to have a voice. Any nation that cannot keep its people alive has lost its moral compass. And yet in South Africa today, people die by suicide and take the lives of their own children because they are hungry. We cannot allow our moral compass to be lost. And so in this room, we must make a commitment not to allow a single South African to go to bed hungry while we export so much food and spend so much on blue light convoys. At Rise Mzansi, in this Rise Mzansi of yours and mine, we recognize that the family is the center of everybody's life. It is the center of all our lives. And every family is rooted in its community. That is why we have a clear outline of the kind of communities and municipalities we want to build so that families can thrive and our children can reach their potential. We cannot win the battle against crime and insecurity when the guardians themselves cannot be trusted. How many people here trust Bheki Cele? How can we trust anyone appointed by Bheki and a president who keeps money stuffed in his couch? And so what we will do, we will commission a review of the senior leadership of the security cluster, remove the corrupt elements, and keep the real professionals who are being prevented from doing their jobs properly. If you know someone who eats once a day or not at all, when you live here, you must tell them Rise Mzansi will fight for monthly food vouchers for those with no food. Nobody must go to bed hungry in South Africa. We will fight for land with piped water for those who want to grow their own food, to build their own home. Discounts on selected foods for people who receive social grants, and a job seekers grant for people who are looking for work but have no means to go and find a job. You cannot find a job on an empty stomach. You cannot go and look for a job if you cannot afford transport to go and look for the job. If you are a mother with a small child and cannot afford child daycare facilities or caregivers, when you leave this venue, you must know that a Rise Mzansi government will fight for child care and early childhood development community facilities in every community. Mothers want to work. Mothers want to work. We must give them the means to go to work. We must train local educators and existing community child care workers, such as the Buzanala ECD Forum, who do this work under difficult circumstances. We have the people who can look after children while the mothers are at work. The reason we have so much violence against children is not just because the men are violent, it's because the mothers have to choose between going to the job and looking after their children. And when they are at work, their children are harmed by predators in our community. Low-income families and single mothers who pay income tax must have child-related tax deductibles for things such as paying for daycare, baby formula, cereals, and other essentials. There is money in South Africa, we just spend it on the wrong things. We spend 2 billion rand a year on blue light brigades, 2 billion. To protect them from who? Us. If your child, brother or sister is addicted to drugs and alcohol and has been labeled Ipara, I want to tell you that Rise Mzansi will not give up on that young person. Unlike this government that lets victims of drug addiction waste away or puts them in prison, we will invest in rehabilitation and counseling facilities in every local municipality. Addiction is a public health issue. It's a public health issue. A jail cell does not cure alcoholism or drug abuse. People go to jail and come back and abuse alcohol still. But our politicians believe that if you have a job, they can leave you to suffer alone. Normal societies don't work like this. We must heal the wounds that continue to hurt us. But I also want to be clear. We will prosecute drug dealers and distributors and send them to prison for a long, long time. You know, yesterday, we were celebrating the class of 2023. These young people who've worked very, very, very hard to make sure that they can get a step in the ladder so that they can build their lives and help their families. And I want us to give a big round of applause to the class of 2023. But I also want us to remember, out of every 100 children who started school 12 years ago, 48 did not matriculate last year. 48 out of 100 did not finish school. So a lot of young people who are unemployed have either very few skills or no skills at all. So we will present a fully funded plan to place 1 million additional young people in training within 5 years so they can find work. Many of us were around in 1994. When the ANC took over, the first thing they did was to close technical colleges, nursing colleges, teachers' colleges. And they believe that a replacement for that is 350. South Africans are not lazy. South Africans want to work. South Africans want the dignity of work. So placing people in training will end the cycle of hopelessness and despair that drives so many young people to crime, drugs, and alcohol. The task of any government is to keep its citizens safe and healthy. South Africans should not have to drive more than 15 minutes to the nearest public health care facility. There is a lot of distance you can cover in 15 minutes by car. It's the same distance if you live in Joburg from Rosebank to Midrand. That's far. South Africans should not have to drive further than that. So our community well-being plan places the safety and health of every family and community at the center of our policy thinking. If you cannot look after families and communities, you cannot look after the country. This thing of our people, as if we're just a block of unthinking things, has got to come to an end. But I also want to say we cannot do any of this with a weak economy that these guys have destroyed. We have to rebuild our economy. We have to fix our economy so that we can make our manifesto a reality. This is going to be very hard, but we have a good plan for fixing our economy and putting people to work. First, we will tackle violent crime. People cannot open or run businesses when they get robbed or killed every day. You cannot keep and run a business when you are afraid. We also cannot get foreign investment if people are afraid to come to our country. So we have to fix crime. Second, we will fix Eskom so that it can power our economy. The only reason Eskom is in this situation is because the cadres see it as a cow that they need to milk. They see Transnet the same way. They see municipalities the same way. And if we get them out, we get the best people we can find to be on the board, to be in the management team, to run the power stations. We can fix Eskom. There is no economy that grows when there is no electricity. So we will cancel all of these inflated, corrupt contracts and replace them with properly priced, clean contracts to save Eskom money. Do you know the Minister of Minerals and Energy does not want Eskom to have a fuel distributor license so they can buy diesel directly. They must buy diesel from some cadre who does not even own a filling station. That cannot continue. Because in the end, you and I pay for it. So the money we save will be invested in new, less carbon-intensive power generation and transmission lines to stop load shedding. We will use cheap international funding and grants to produce solar energy products here in South Africa. Train South Africans to produce them here and put solar power in every single home. The power stations should really power the economy, the factories, the mines, and so on. Each one of us within 20 years must have solar panels on our roof so that we can get electricity for free. The second problem in our economy is Transnet. It's Transnet. We have to fix our rail and port system by destroying the syndicates that make it difficult to operate. They steal cables to sabotage the railway lines so that we can put the goods on the trucks that they own. This tendency of banning trucks in KZN is not an accident. They're doing it on purpose and they're sabotaging our economy. It's treason. We must throw them in jail. So we will clear out all expensive, corrupt contracts and use the savings to invest within Transnet. We will also stop borrowing from pension and provident funds and instead invite them to be investors and shareholders in Eskom and Transnet and others. Transnet and water infrastructure can also be invested in this way. In this way, workers who own the provident and pension funds can participate in how these organizations are governed, and the profits can go towards worker pensions, not corrupt comrades and their friends in business. We can use the same technique that was used during COVID to release 100 billion over 5 years to provide patient, low-cost funding to innovative Black and woman-owned businesses. These entrepreneurs will get help with specialized training and mentoring in partnership with successful businesses so that they do not fail. These people go around saying business is the enemy while they're busy getting money from their friends in business. Successful business people must help young entrepreneurs to also be successful. And I'll tell you what, many of them want to do it, but the comrades won't let them do it because they will only do it if you pay them a bribe. We cannot transform this economy if we do not build new businesses. We cannot grow the economy if we do not build new businesses. There must be new businesses. A Rise Mzansi government will work with the farming, agri, mining, tourism, and manufacturing industries to remove obstacles to investment and support small businesses and entrepreneurs in those sectors. We cannot have a backlog of over 2,000 mining licenses when this government claims they want to create jobs at the same time. Our foreign policy will advance human rights and compassion around the world. We will not let the love of money for corrupt leaders to determine when we speak up on injustice or not. Bombing an apartment or a school in Gaza is as wrong under international law and basic human morals as doing the same in Ukraine, South Sudan, or Israel. We must not care how people look or what their religion is, or only care when the human rights abuses appear on CNN, but we keep quiet when the victims are on our own continent. But we must also admit, thank you, we must also admit our society is broken. Our society is broken. Leaders normalize wrongdoing and lawlessness, and so people develop a tolerance for lawlessness. If the leaders are doing things wrong, we will also do things wrong. When corrupt people get rewarded with more political power, society begins to think corruption is normal and acceptable. When our corrupt politicians normalize the appointment of people who cannot do the job, Soon we forget why we cannot get the most basic things done. When people's political positions and choices depend on who is paying them bribes, then they will not take decisions that serve the people. They will only serve those who pay them bribes. This is what the ANC's culture of corruption has done. It has corrupted our souls. Building a nation, a national sense of purpose, a society that values ethics is a mission that demands vision and consistent leadership, not presidents who disappear most of the time and stuff money in their couches, dare I say again. So Rise Mzansi's mission does not begin and end with being in parliament or having political power. Our mission is to change our society, to set better and higher standards for this society, to demand better, to expect better from all of us. There are those who believe that nation building and non-racialism are dead, that we only need to do politics only for black people, for colored people, for white people, and so on. I am here to tell you that nation building is back in fashion with Rise Mzansi, and I'll tell you exactly how we're going to do it. I am here to tell you that South Africa belongs to all of us. But we must do nation building properly. We must think differently. For example, being without land when you really need it is the same abuse regardless of your race. The only reason we have not solved the land problem is because these parties want to use it as a stunt to get votes. They're not even talking about it anymore. We cannot undo colonialism and apartheid because it's already happened. But what we can do is to change the future. And all of us involved in politics, whether black or white, can make a common commitment to end landlessness, to have spatial justice, to use all available legal and constitutional instruments to ensure that land and spatial justice is delivered. And this includes lawful expropriation, the same way we do when we want to build a dam, a road, or a mine. These things can be done and done lawfully. The only reason they don't do them is because they are not going to get money out of it, so they don't care. It is time that South Africa took a decision to treat all people without land the same and make sure that they have enough land to live a healthy, prosperous life. A landless person in Manenberg suffers the same as a landless person in South Sea. Economic justice is not just about redistributing wealth. It is about ensuring that we leave no one behind. While we are totally committed to redistributing wealth through progressive taxation, there can be no economic empowerment if this tax does not turn into an opportunity for young people to get a good education, skills training, university degrees, and other qualifications, even if their parents have no money. Economic empowerment is not possible for someone without the tools to participate in the economy to begin with. We also cannot talk about economic justice when so many people are robbed by spatial injustice. Too many people in South Africa spend almost all of their money trying to get to and from work. So we need a proper public transport system. So what do education, public transport, health, and other community facilities have to do with economic justice and national healing? It's because apartheid was about deprivation. Depriving people of these things hurts the same as when a racist government does it. Even if it's a democratically elected government, if they deprive you of the same things that the government before 1994 was doing, they are just as evil. So it is to such public things that redistributive taxes must be invested. Education, public safety, health, water, and other infrastructure. But I want to talk to most of us in this room. We must think about the people we do not see. We treat South Africans with disabilities badly by pretending they do not exist. We talk about people with disabilities as an afterthought. People on a wheelchair, for instance, find it difficult to get a taxi. People who are blind or who cannot see, who don't have a good eyesight, cannot easily walk on unpaved roads and streets, whether they're in town or the rural areas. People who cannot speak except for sign language are not stupid. They need us to understand sign language so that we can communicate with them. This is why when you look at this manifesto, you will see that Rise Mzansi has elevated the issues of people with disabilities in the manifesto. But as I get close to closing, I want to share some truths with you. An election is not a chance to treat voters like children or idiots and promise miracles. We must not do that. We must be honest with one another so that we do not later become unhappy because certain things promised did not happen. This is the reason why people do not trust the old political parties anymore. The first thing we must recognize is that the comrades really have stolen the money. Our government is running out of money. They have stolen and wasted hundreds of billions over the last 15 years. South Africa now spends more money paying interest on loans than we do on policing, health, infrastructure, and other needs. And they are still stealing the money. So that means no government can address everything within a short space of time or at the same time. We must grow the economy at 6% or more each year. When the economy grows, businesses grow. More people get hired and get jobs. Businesses may pay more tax to the government, and we are able to take that tax and use it to improve the lives of people. We cannot keep borrowing while not using those borrowings to grow the economy. We also cannot grow the economy if people do not feel safe enough to start businesses. We must do everything we can to keep our communities safe so that people can start businesses and employ their fellow South Africans. In Mthatha, where I come from, the violent crime is so bad that people are afraid to even start a spaza shop. We cannot fight crime if business people and their customers are not safe. So while we are committed to black economic empowerment in business, such that we will release 100 billion, like I said, we must not only focus on those who are already successful and in business. You cannot end inequality when so many do not finish school. We have to aim for a 100% pass where every child who began school finishes matric. We must ensure that every child has food in a stomach, has excellent education facilities and teachers, and gets post-school education and skills training. It is difficult to find a good job if you do not have skills. It is difficult. And you cannot have good modern skills if you do not finish school. The second thing is that the government cannot build a house for everyone. Some people need houses from the government, yes. But others want land so they can build a house for themselves. Others need help to secure a home loan. They need a little bit of mbijana here so they can get a home loan. And we must help those people to buy their own homes. So Rise Mzansi commits to helping everyone in ways that are possible and make sense for you. We are not going to lie to the South African people and promise the world. That's not our style. I also want to talk about the issue of immigration. We have a corrupt immigration system. Unlawful immigrants are able to get in because South Africans, our brothers and sisters at Home Affairs and the police, take bribes and to help people fake papers, to fake marriage certificates, and other forms of corruption. We must fix this problem first. And fixing this problem is simple, but it needs political will. We must do a couple of things. We must therefore secure the borders to make sure that you do not have people getting in and out as they choose. Secondly, you must register everyone who is in the country within 6 months and determine whether they qualify to be here or not. We cannot have a situation where we do not know who is here and what they are busy doing. I hope they're not coming to attack me. I'm concluding now, that's why they're coming up here. Leaders and volunteers of Rise Mzansi. People of South Africa, the seeds of this crisis were planted in 2005 when leaders of the ANC decided they do not want to be accountable for corruption. They destroyed the Scorpions so they could not be investigated. They destroyed the NPA so they could not be prosecuted. They destroyed SARS so they could get away without paying tax. We know who was involved in that project. President Ramaphosa was President Zuma's deputy. He was involved in that project. So we must go out there and tell the people not to be fooled. We know which names and faces laid the groundwork for the destruction of South Africa. We know their names. We know what they look like. Even when they form new political parties, wear new t-shirts and sing different slogans, we know who they are. We must not allow them to act brand new here. They are all the same. We know Isela, whether they are in ANC colors or the colors of another political party. We know. We must go and tell the people not to be fooled with promises of miracles. Miracles they will never deliver, because what we know is that even those who claim that they stand for black people and sovereignty, they were happy to hand the country over to a family from India. We must not believe the liars. They lie, they steal, they promise too much, but they are all the same. They are corrupt to the core. But Rise Mzansi is here now. We are here now. We have new leaders. We have a better vision. We have a better vision. We have 120 days to the next election. And we have a plan. We have a manifesto. This manifesto. It is not my manifesto, it is your manifesto. Because they were laughing at us when we were going to each and every community, speaking to people in small numbers and big numbers, laughing at us, saying we cannot fill a big venue. Look at all of you today. You can't see a single empty chair. Take time to read this manifesto. Take time to read this manifesto, because in here are the things you told us are important to you. The mothers who said the maintenance court does not work. The single mothers who said, I don't have anywhere to leave my child when I go to work. The parents who said my children are addicted to drugs and I cannot help them because there is no rehab. The people who said the police are corrupt, we won't even report crimes to them. All of that is here because we were listening while they were laughing. This is serious. This is serious. If we wait or doubt, more people will die. and we cannot let that happen on our watch. If we allow these uncaring people to stay one more day at the union buildings or controlling parliament, we will have to answer to future generations on why we allowed them to steal their future before they were even born. We need to go out and win votes to win the hearts and minds of South Africans. With this manifesto, which is realistic, there is no BS here. We need to wake up every day to meet and connect with South Africans and tell them that Rise Mzansi is here to build the South Africa we deserve. We, all of us here, are the new leaders we've been waiting for. Let us rise. Rise for your families. Rise for your communities. Rise from Mzansi. Rise Mzansi, rise. Rise Mzansi, rise. I rise. I rise. We rise. We rise. Together. I rise. Jabulela.